Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Bhutang dhammang sanghang namasami. So this is the Uposatha night and the full moon, the month of June, and many of you have gathered here for listening to the Dhamma and practicing. Also we have the teachers from Spirit Rock assembled here for the next few days, and I'm visiting. We have Ajahn Chandasiri and Ananda Bodhi from Amaravati Buddhist Monastery. So this, there's so much interest now in the teaching, the practice of Buddhism, or the practice of the Dhamma. Of course, the word Buddhism can apply to anything, almost everything that you can think of that has any connection whatsoever. But the Buddha never taught Buddhism, he taught the Dhamma. So this is a time to reflect on that. When we talk about the Dhamma and then the Buddha Dhamma Sangha. So he took refuge in Buddha Dhamma Sangha, and so this can be a ceremony for Theravadan ceremony, or it can be a reminder to what is a refuge and why would we repeat such words. And of course, this is the whole important style of the Buddha's teaching is to awaken consciousness to observe the way it is. So even though human beings consider themselves conscious, in Buddhist terms they're not always awake, even though they may not be asleep. But we are, from the time that we're born, we're usually conditioned to see and think and feel through the cultural attitudes and customs that we've acquired, and through language, and developing a strong sense of separateness as a unique person, a personality. So these are conditions that we acquire after we're born. We're not born with these, but when a baby's born, it's born with a physical body, and it's conscious. So consciousness and the body are natural conditions. To be able to see them in terms of Dhamma means to awaken to the way it is, the body as not as some personal identity, but as this experience right now, sitting here, giving this reflection. And then consciousness is, we usually don't recognize pure consciousness because we're highly conditioned to think, attached to views, opinions, to memories, to emotional habits, to a sense of self. So then we create ourselves as in these various conditions as Americans or whatever. Ajahn Pasno is now an American. Legally. And this we can consider as a convention. In Thailand they differentiate the conventional realities and the ultimate truth. So the conventional realities we tend to regard as ultimate, as the real world, and live accordingly to our conditioning, to our prejudices, assumptions, personal identities. But in awakened consciousness, we're observing this. Like the Buddha emphasized mindfulness, and as far as I know, the Buddha's this emphasis is not found in any other religious convention. And it's very interesting that the Buddha takes this mindfulness, calls it the gate to the deathless. It's very difficult for us to define it because it's indefinable, but it's recognizable. So when we read definitions of mindfulness, that's not quite it. And in terms of how the Buddha used this word, sati, sampachanya, sati panya. Panya is wisdom. So when we're obstructed by this sense of this separate identity as a personality, an ego, or as a culturally conditioned, socially conditioned views that we've acquired, and the language that we think in, that always leads to some kind of insecurity or doubt. When these are not challenged or not awakened to, then we tend to operate from positions, taking sides, defining ourselves according to the religious convention or the social position we have, or the gender of the body, or the color of the skin, or whatever. These are our precious identities that we will fight over, quarrel over, and abuse each other endlessly around the conditions that we've acquired, not out of wisdom and understanding, but out of ignorance. So this, in this sense, ignorance is not like being illiterate or that, but it's like not understanding, not knowing Dhamma. In other words, as long as one is limited and bound into the conditioned realm, then there's this ignorance. The consciousness operates and remains the same, but the ignorance influences how we see and create the world around us. So this mindfulness then is, like in England, for example, now it's the kind of word that people are really interested in. Say 10 and 20 years ago, I didn't hear, like psychotherapists and in the field of psychology, I'd never heard them really use it or give it any importance, but now it is the flavor of the year in the psychotherapy world. And this is a good thing but then we tend to see it in terms, not in the profound terms as the Buddha meant it, but merely as being aware of how you feel, or being aware of observing the things around you. So we can direct our awareness outward, like being mindful of where this is and where this person is sitting, and aware of the weather, and whether it's going to rain or not.